take it out on the system. Yeah, there's that happens. You gotta educate the media though. You can bring them along. Even if they're writing that awful story about the child that died in care, at least they might have a little bit more information, provide a little bit more context, talk about a system that doesn't work for parents or a system that doesn't have the resources to check on kids in care. A little bit more perspective. I already talked about letters. I'm sure why that's there twice. Letters to the editor. All right. Gather public support, we've already talked about that. Working coalition and identify partners. Okay. I do recommend, whatever your advocacy, whatever those issues are that you are coalescing around, or you're an individual or a group, you develop some kind of an advocacy plan. And it may just be on the back of an envelope. It doesn't have to be a full-blown theory of change with a strategic plan attached to, a research study with a, evaluation plan. But have some kind of an advocacy plan in mind before you begin this work. And I think this is fairly straightforward. You have some objectives. You know who you're targeting. Policymakers, the public, media. You develop strategies. We'll talk about the 5 W's and an H here in a minute. Communication tools. And you also, and this is one that we often don't do because we, as advocates, we move from one thing to the next so quickly. We don't often go back or stop and think, did it work? Did that strategy have the impact? Did it produce the outcomes that we intended? So some kind of evaluation plan, even if you are just stopping to ask yourself, did it succeed or not? Okay. The 5 W's and the H, fairly simple, straightforward again. Know whom to bring. Again, we're talking about meetings. Know whom to bring to those meetings. I will tell you, it's an important thing to think about. If you are doing a campaign where you're going to be talking to your governor, you're talking to your mayor, you're talking to your congressman, your senators, who do you bring to that meeting? And look, some people have more, going to have more political punch or political gravitas with whoever that is. You're going to have to think about that. It may be the mayor's mother, sister is a child care provider. It may be that the congressman, brother is a foster parent, or foster parents. Think about who to bring. Know what to bring. What kinds of research, what kinds of data. This is always tough, and I don't want to generalize too much. And some of it gets back to message, which we'll talk about. But bring what you need to bring, no more than that. In terms of the research, the data, the messaging, be clear. Know when is the best time to schedule visits. This is one, it's hard, but it's part of thinking about what's the best time of the year to go to Tallahassee, and even what's the best time of the day. Maybe in mornings are a better time for policymakers than afternoons. Now in Washington, most hearings are held in the morning, so you don't want to bring, you don't want to bring a group to a policymaker, in the morning, unless you have absolutely no choice, because the policymaker is going to be distracted with hearings, or you're going to not, at the end, you're not going to talk to the congressman, you're going to talk to their staffer. So what's the best time? Know where you will meet. And again, this depends on the policymaker, on the situation. Meeting in the community can be as impactful as going to Tallahassee or going to Washington. One of the congressmen I used to work for used to go visit, regularly was invited to elementary and secondary schools, child care centers, to those places to talk with staff, to talk with parents. Where you will meet. Know why you are there. Don't go there to shoot the bull. You're there to make your case. Make it. And know how to make the case. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's a really critical point. There's probably something that, if you want to hold one little thing today, one little nugget, know how to make your case is probably the one. Whatever it is. If you know how to make your case, you're going to be a much more effective advocate, regardless of anything else. And know what you don't know. Another one. Never be afraid if a policymaker, staffer throws you a question out of right field, don't make up an answer. Say, I don't know, or we'll get back to you on that. Do not. You never want to be put in a position with a policymaker where you give them bad information. Now, sometimes you might say something and you think later, I think that was 20% instead of 30%. Well, that's something you can correct in a letter or a note or something you send back. But you don't want to knowingly give information that you don't have. Okay, shaping the message. Okay, really, again, super, super critical. Now, you have to adapt your message. It may not always be the same. It may vary a little bit by policymaker or by circumstance. But, so the political environment of the moment, or the policymaker, the regulator, or if it's a member of the media or the public, you're going to have to adapt, and you're going to have to think about that. In terms of elected officials, what they need to understand. They need to